It was a long, late, and wild night in the NFL, Caroline, because Thursday Night Football did not disappoint. The Falcons were down 28-14. They get a touchdown. They go for two. They don't make it. They get another touchdown. They go for two. They don't make it. They get the ball back. We get a third and 28 that leads to a fourth and 14 that leads to a field goal. Falcons take down the Buccaneers in a wild ending. A team that had absolutely nothing to play for went out there and beat a team with their backs against the wall, and the playoff picture in the NFC just got a little bit murkier for the Buccaneers.
Look, as much as I would love to give Atlanta their flowers, I'm going to start on the Tampa Bay side of things because that's the story of this game. Was the massive and epic choke job by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everything that you just laid out. Tampa Bay is playing for everything. That the race in the NFC South is uncomfortably close if you're in Tampa Bay. That you had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter. It was 28-14 in the fourth quarter. The Atlanta Falcons had committed 19 penalties. 19 penalties. They were facing a 3rd and 28 and then a 4th and 14. And Kirk Cousins, old man Kirk, was able to march the Falcons down the field to win that football game. I mean, it was just a choke job by epic proportions by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think if you're Todd Bowles waking up this morning, you're looking around and thinking, how in the world did our defense put us in a position like this? How in the world would anyone in the Tampa Bay front office and that defense itself be in a position to give up a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter? And look, the defense absolutely deserves a massive slice of the blame pie. Baker Mayfield deserves a massive slice of the blame pie. You know, you had the interception, which was a bad throw, bad pick, but also just a good play made by the defensive back. So you hate to see that. That obviously gave the Falcons momentum. But then whenever you're in absolute put up or shut up time, you're up 2 points in the fourth quarter. You're at a 1st and 10 with 2.5 minutes to go. And then Bucky Irving loses 4 yards. Now you're facing a 2nd and 14. That throw to Emeka Egbuka was just a bad throw. Like, yes, of course, like Emeka Egbuka, in that moment, he needs to come down with it, but I'm not going to put that on the rookie receiver. I'm putting that squarely on the shoulders of Baker Mayfield. And then you're looking at a 3rd and 14, and Baker Mayfield takes a sack at a moment that you absolutely, positively cannot take a sack. And I think it just goes to show, you know, both sides of having both sides of the experience of a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Because so many times early in the season, a receiver comes down with that 2nd and 14 throw. So many times early in the season, when the pendulum was swinging the Buccaneers' way, Baker Mayfield evades that sack. Like, they had so many times in that instance, all they needed was just to pick up the first down. And then you could get into victory formation, and then you can live to die another day. And yes, it was a lot closer than everybody wanted it to be. And yes, it was a lot closer and more uncomfortable than anyone wanted to admit, but you win the game. But at no point, with 2.5 minutes left, with a 1st and 10 or a 2nd and 14 or a 3rd and 14, was Baker Mayfield or that offense able to make a play. And that's how this Tampa Bay team is going to win games, is offensively. And the offense let themselves down. The defense let them down on a 3rd and 28. It was just an absolute crumbling of epic proportions in the fourth quarter by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm going to say the same thing about Tampa Bay that they should be saying, and I'm sure they are saying about themselves. Everything was inexcusable. If we want to sit here and say, hey, Baker hasn't been himself because of the shoulder injury that's bogged him down this year, the shoulder injury didn't create the interception. The interception was he missed the guy at the flat. He didn't see the defender where the defender was. That's inexcusable, right? Some of the play calling late in this game that just felt weirdly conservative and then weirdly aggressive all at the wrong times for all of it felt inexcusable. The defensive miscommunications over and over and over again, especially around Kyle Pitts. Like, I get it, he beat you once, but when he's beating you at a historic level, he put up 7% of his fantasy points for his entire career last night. That's how big Kyle Pitts was, right? 160.
I'm shocked it wasn't more
yards in this. I know. That's in fact is Kyle Pitts was probably finally the Kyle Pitts we all thought we were going to see week in and week out. Like, that's just inexcusable from the Tampa Bay defense. The number of things that were collapsed here, and this is the week that it was supposed to get right. because we've been excusing every week, well, Tampa Bay's going to be fine. Baker's hurt. They've been banged up. They'll be fine. They need to get Mike Evans back. Well, guess what? They did. They got Mike Evans back, and he was dominant. And Baker Mayfield was there, and Baker Mayfield can't blame the turnover on injuries. Like, this is a Falcons team that did everything they could to lose the football game with the penalties and just the absolute missteps, and they torched. When Kirk Cousins takes you for 373 yards, when Kirk Cousins takes you behind the woodshed like that, when Kirk Cousins plays so well that you're sitting there saying, maybe Kirk can start somewhere in the league next year. No, this was not a statement about Kirk Cousins. This was a statement about the level of suck that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers brought to the defensive side of the ball last night. And when your back is against the wall and you do that, man, it's inexcusable. That is the only word that summarizes what they did last night.
And I think even what happened after the game was inexcusable as well, because everything that we saw in the fourth quarter, 1,000% totally and completely unacceptable for a team that is playing for everything, that is playing for their playoff lives. To just sit down and lay an egg that way, incredibly uninspiring. But then you saw Mike Evans walk off the field before the field goal even went in. And then you heard Todd Bowles in his press conference, a very, F-bomb laden press conference. But he said, we as coaches, we've done all we can do. It's up to the players now. The players have to execute. There's no more that the coaches can do for this team. That, to me, Mike Evans walking off the field, and look, it was great to see Mike Evans back. Hated to see Baker Mayfield throw him a couple of hospital balls, like that one early in the game when he got absolutely obliterated by that Falcons defender, and you could see him on the sidelines. He kept grabbing his lower back, and he kept screaming, again, whole lot of F-bombs on the sidelines. Mike Evans walking off, Todd Bowles putting the blame squarely on his team. Shows to me a locker room and an organization that just doesn't have very good or very strong culture. The way that they could just melt down against a team that had no business being in the game with them shows to me a real lack of culture on that sideline. I thought it was ridiculous, Buccaneers fans saying, fire Todd Bowles, because I thought, what's the man supposed to do? This team's been so banged up. Baker Mayfield's banged up. Mike Evans has been banged up. Chris Godwin's been banged up. Micah Buka's been banged up. Bucky Irving's been banged up. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Like, what's a head coach supposed to do to overcome just some of those weird and fluky injuries that's been facing this team? But I don't know. I'm not on the wholeheartedly on the fire Todd Bowles train. But after we saw the level of quit that we saw last night from the Buccaneers team, I'm starting to think that there's maybe some credence to moving on from Todd Bowles. The culture in Tampa Bay, after what I saw last night, after what we heard last night, feels broken.
Leadership needs to step up here. And this is where I constantly ask this question of every team. Look around and ask yourself, who's the one guy on the team that is going to bring everybody together, and who's the one guy on the team that's going to find accountability? Because to me, even with the coaches, also with the players, when you come out that way against that Falcons team, you've got an accountability problem all the way across the board. And now, look, the season is still in front of Tampa Bay. If they win their way out, they'll be in this thing. But now, suddenly, the door that was just a little bit propped open is wide open for Carolina. If you are in Carolina, where Carolina is today, oh, man, you're popping bottles. You're getting a little excited because let's be clear here. This is very simple. The Carolina Panthers play the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. If they win that game, their path to the playoff is simple as this. All they have to do is win one of the two remaining games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're in. That's it. So the Panthers have the Saints this weekend and then the Bucs the following weekend. They could literally be clinched into the playoffs in a week and a half. That is crazy to be saying out loud. Everything's still in front of Tampa Bay. They can win out. They can go to the playoffs too. But I just watched them lay an egg when they couldn't afford to lay an egg. So if I'm a Panthers fan right now, Caroline, woo, I am swaggy walking my way into work. I put an extra pump of sugar-free vanilla in my iced coffee this morning. I am feeling good.
And yeah, I think that if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, you're sending, fruit baskets to Atlanta Falcons fans everywhere. You're sending fruit baskets to Kirk Cousins and saying, thank you, Kirk. Thank you for doing that for us. But let's pump the brakes a little bit here. I feel like so much of the rhetoric after last night was, woohoo, Carolina Panthers fans, pop the champagne. We're going to the playoffs. still have to take care of business. You still have 3 divisional games left in the next 4 weeks of the season. You still get the Bucs twice, you still get the Saints, and you still have the Seahawks, which it's week 17, so it's not quite the final week of the season. The Seahawks are still going to be playing for a lot, understanding that the NFC West could be anybody's NFC West at this point. When I say anybody, it's really just the Rams or the Seahawks. So I am not going to all of a sudden get up here today and say, okay, Carolina Panthers fans, pop your confetti because we're having a party here in Charlotte. I'm not getting there yet, but the Buccaneers just handed the Carolina Panthers a nice, cutesy little present with a big old bow on top after blowing it last night. The Panthers fans should be feeling good, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Oh, Carolina, scared money don't make no money. I'm all in. Carolina Panthers are going to the playoffs. They can lose to the Seahawks, still make it in. All they got to do is beat the Saints.
For sure.
They can beat the Saints. And then one of the two against Tampa. Ooh,
they didn't beat the Saints.
I'm in.
They didn't beat the Saints at home.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay,
Look,
I don't need your logic. Right? I want to live in my feels. I want to live in my feels. But then I think we can also learn something from Tampa Bay that applies to the entire NFL. This year, particularly as a general football culture, we've been slow to allow our mindset to adapt on different teams. We watched the Buccaneers come out to a flying start, and it feels like we've been slow to step back and say, hey, maybe they're not who we thought they were. We've been slow to let the narratives around the Ravens change. We've been slow to let the narratives around the Chiefs change. If there's any real thing that we can learn from Tampa Bay, it's that maybe we should start looking at the season in shorter segments, Caroline, so that we can get a better, accurate representation of who that team is today, because it feels like what we're doing is we're saying, I don't care about the records. I know what we're going to see. And this year in the NFL, I don't think you can bank on what you're going to see at all. You can only bank on what you've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks to decide what this team looks like moving forward.
We all want to make our minds up in August. We all have a picture and an idea in our heads of how seasons should go, of which teams are good, which teams are not very good, and we compartmentalize those early in the season. And sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable whenever the process doesn't play out how we think it's going to. Like, how long has it taken us to kind of give up on the Ravens? How long has it taken us to kind of give up on the Chiefs? There's a large faction of sports fans that aren't giving up on the Ravens and the Chiefs. I don't even know if I'm totally wholeheartedly giving up on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6-7 and haven't really done anything impressive this season, but we're like, wait, I don't know. It's the Chiefs. So I think we just have to subscribe to the belief that this season in the NFL is weird, especially in the AFC is weird. I think we have to subscribe to the belief that in the AFC South and the NFC South, 2 divisions, Fitz, that you and I said here at the beginning of this show in August, we said worst divisions in sports. They're actually turning out to be incredibly intriguing divisions with a lot of jockeying at the top. I just want to know how we got here with the Bucs. We can say injuries all day long, and that is a really big part of it. That is, a part of the blame pie of why the Bucs may miss out on the postseason altogether. But was last night giving up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter? That was an injury. How did we get here with the team that has 3 of the best receivers in the National Football League, the best trio, I think I can say wholeheartedly, in the NFL, with a quarterback that looked like he was playing MVP caliber football at the beginning of the season, with a reliable run game with Bucky Irving? How did we get to this point?
We got to this point because to your everything you just said, as much as we've talked about the lost opportunities for this offense, Tampa Bay put up 28 points last night. In the modern NFL, when you put up 28, you should be able to win a football game. I mean,
against a bad team, nonetheless.
I'm looking at Kirk Cousins, 30 of 44 for 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating of 117. I'm looking at Bijan Robinson, who goes for 19 carries for 93 yards, averages almost 5 yards a carry. If you factor in Algier with that, too, is a team 21 rushes, 111 yards, and a touchdown, 5.3 yards per carry. I'm looking at Kyle Pitts, 11 catches, 166 yards, and Harry Douglas this morning did a great breakdown on the flat-out miscommunications by the people on the field for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they needed to be able to cover Kyle Pitts. We are here right now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because, especially last night, their defense didn't come. Their defense didn't show up, and their defense. That look, you're right to say that we've been hesitant to give up on certain teams. I am out on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. If they make the playoffs, congratulations. If you make the playoffs,
they're not going to do
I hope
anything.
you guys celebrate that. You're not going to win any games. Like, I'm out. We don't need to pay attention to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anymore this season because their season is effectively done. We're at the point where we care the most about Super Bowl caliber teams. And clearly last night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers reminded us that while they're a good story and we love Baker, they ain't a Super Bowl team, and it's not even close.